What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's absolutely insane topic, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because you do not want to miss what's coming. Today we're talking about something that has the entire music industry buzzing, and trust me, this is bigger than you think. Legendary producer Diplo just dropped a bomb that nobody saw coming, and it involves BTS Jimin and the Grammys. Yes, you heard that right. So grab your snacks, settle in, because we're about to break down why one of the biggest producers in the world thinks Jimin is about to make history. Okay, so let me set the scene for you. Diplo, the guy who's worked with literally everyone from Beyoncé to Justin Bieber, the man with 3 Grammy Awards sitting on his shelf, just came out and said that Jimin's upcoming track on the BTS ARIRANG album could win a Grammy. Not might, not has potential, could win. Now, I know what you're thinking. Producers say stuff like this all the time to hype up their projects, right? But here's the thing. This is Diplo we're talking about. This man does not make predictions lightly. He's been in the industry for decades. He knows what Grammy-winning music sounds like because he's created it multiple times. So when he says something like this, the entire music world stops and pays attention. Let me give you some context about who Diplo actually is for those who might not be familiar. Thomas Wesley Pence, known professionally as Diplo, is not just any producer. This guy is a legend. He's the founder of Major Lazer. He's 1/3 of the supergroup LSD with Sia and Labyrinth. He's produced for everyone you can possibly imagine. We're talking Beyoncé, Madonna, Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, the list goes on and on. He's won 3 Grammy Awards, and he's been nominated for way more. This is someone who has shaped the sound of modern pop music over the last 2 decades. His ability to spot hits before they happen is almost supernatural. So when this man, with all his experience and all his success, says that Jimin's track could win a Grammy, we need to take that seriously. Now, let's talk about what we know so far about this collaboration. According to sources close to the production, Diplo didn't just show up to the studio, lay down a beat, and call it a day. No, he apparently spent weeks working with Jimin. And from everything we're hearing, this collaboration is something completely different from anything Jimin has done before. Diplo has been quoted as saying that Jimin is a once-in-generation artist. Think about that for a second. This man has worked with some of the greatest vocalists of our time, and he's calling Jimin once-in-generation. That's not just high praise, that's recognition of something truly exceptional. What's really interesting is that Diplo has mentioned that working with Jimin pushed him out of his own comfort zone. Here you have one of the most innovative producers in the world saying that Jimin challenged him creatively. That tells us that this isn't just Diplo imposing his sound on Jimin. This is a true artistic collaboration where both artists are bringing their A-game and creating something that neither of them could have made alone. That kind of creative synergy is exactly what produces Grammy-worthy music. It's not about one person's vision, it's about the magic that happens when 2 incredible talents meet and push each other to new heights. Let's talk about Jimin's foundation coming into this collaboration, because it's important to understand just how impressive his solo career has already been. His album Muse spent 80 consecutive weeks on the Billboard World Albums chart. 80 weeks? That's a record that no other solo K-pop artist has achieved. His single, who became a global phenomenon and showed incredible longevity on charts around the world. This isn't just initial fan support driving these numbers. This is sustained, organic success that proves Jimin's music resonates with people across all demographics and cultural backgrounds. That kind of staying power is exactly what Grammy voters notice. They don't just look at first-week sales, they look at impact over time, and Jimin has already proven he has that. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Diplo has hinted at some details about the ARIRANG track that have fans absolutely losing their minds. He's talked about using unconventional recording methods and incorporating unexpected instruments. He's mentioned blending electronic production with live orchestra elements. This is the kind of ambitious, boundary-pushing music that the Grammy Awards were created to recognize. The Recording Academy loves music that feels important, that represents a genuine artistic statement rather than just a commercial product. If Diplo and Jimin have created something that redefines what K-pop can sound like while maintaining emotional authenticity and commercial appeal, you're looking at the perfect Grammy formula. Let me tell you something about Diplo's work ethic and standards. This man is a perfectionist. He doesn't let anything out into the world unless it meets his incredibly high standards. And apparently, Jimin matched that energy completely. Sources say that Jimin rewrote his lyrics 15 times. 15 times. They had multiple 3 a.m. studio sessions getting every single detail exactly right. This is the level of dedication and obsessive attention to detail that separates good songs from Grammy-winning masterpieces. When an artist and producer care this much about their work, when they're willing to put in those kinds of hours and do that many revisions to get it perfect, that commitment shows in the final product. Grammy voters recognize and reward that level of artistic integrity. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. The Grammy Awards have been notoriously difficult for K-pop artists to break into, despite the genre's absolutely massive global success. BTS has been nominated multiple times for Dynamite, Butter, and My Universe with Coldplay, but they haven't won yet, despite literally being the biggest group in the world and breaking every possible record. This has been a source of frustration for fans and has raised valid questions about whether the Recording Academy truly recognizes global music or if there's still an unconscious bias toward Western artists. So why does Diplo think Jimin's track can break through where others haven't? Part of the answer might be in understanding what Grammy voters actually respond to. Diplo knows these voters. He's been in those rooms. He understands the politics, the preferences, the zeitgeist. The Recording Academy has shown they appreciate innovation, cultural impact, and artistic growth. They reward artists who push boundaries while maintaining commercial appeal. Diplo's entire career has been built on walking that line perfectly, creating music that's experimental enough to feel fresh and important but accessible enough to dominate radio and streaming. If he's applying the same formula to Jimin's ARIRANG track, and if he's as confident about it, that tells us something significant. He sees all the pieces in place. There's also the question of categories, which is actually super important when we talk about Grammy strategy. Diplo's prediction suggests he might be envisioning this track competing in categories like Best Pop Solo Performance, Record of the Year, or even Song of the Year if Jimin has significant writing credits. The Best Pop Solo Performance category has been won by artists like Adele, Pharrell Williams, and most recently Miley Cyrus for Flowers. This category rewards both commercial success and artistic merit. It's not just about sales, it's about creating a moment. And if Jimin's track achieves the kind of radio dominance and streaming numbers that Diplo is predicting while also being artistically innovative, it becomes a serious contender. Let's talk about timing, because timing is everything in the music industry. The ARIRANG album is dropping in March, which positions it perfectly for the next Grammy eligibility period. This gives the song months to build momentum, dominate charts, accumulate streaming numbers, and become part of the cultural conversation. All of these factors influence Grammy voting. If this track becomes one of the defining songs of the year, if it's everywhere you turn, on every playlist, on every radio station, Grammy voters cannot ignore it. And Diplo seems to believe that's exactly what's going to happen. He's predicted it will dominate US radio stations, which has historically been one of the biggest challenges for K-pop artists. Here's something else that's fascinating. Diplo has made some cryptic comments about whether Jimin will be singing in English on this track. He hasn't given a straight answer, which has fans theorizing like crazy. This is actually a really interesting question because it could go either way in terms of Grammy strategy. If the track is primarily in Korean, and it wins a Grammy, that would be absolutely groundbreaking. It would represent a major shift in how the Recording Academy recognizes non-English music. We've seen some progress with artists like Bad Bunny receiving nominations and wins, but a K-pop solo artist winning in a major category with a Korean language song would be historic. On the other hand, if it's in English or a mix of languages, it might have a more straightforward path to nomination simply because of how the industry still works, unfortunately. Either way, the fact that Diplo is confident enough to make his Grammy prediction regardless of the language tells us he believes the music transcends any language barriers. The cultural moment we're in right now also matters more than people realize. The Grammys have faced massive criticism over the past few years for not being diverse enough, for not recognizing the truly global nature of music in the streaming era. They've made some changes, some progress, but many critics argue they haven't gone far enough. A win for Jimin could help the Recording Academy demonstrate their commitment to recognizing excellence regardless of an artist's country of origin or the language they sing in. Now, I want to be clear, this doesn't mean Jimin would win as some kind of diversity pick. His talent is undeniable. The quality of his work speaks for itself. But the cultural timing could create an environment where voters are more open to recognizing global artists, and if Jimin delivers the kind of track that Diplo is describing, that opening could be all he needs. Let me share something that Diplo said that really stuck with me. He described the track as showing a side of Jimin that no one has seen before. He said, "This isn't the Jimin you know from Face or Muse." That statement is huge. It tells us that Jimin is evolving, growing, pushing himself as an artist. The Grammy Awards love that narrative. They love rewarding artists who are clearly on an artistic journey, who aren't content to repeat their previous successes, but are constantly challenging themselves to reach new heights. If Jimin has genuinely evolved his sound and artistic approach with Diplo's collaboration, that demonstrates the kind of growth that Grammy voters respect and reward. There's also the technical side of this that we can't ignore. Diplo is known for creating sonically pristine recordings. His productions sound incredible, whether you're listening on phone speakers or a professional studio sound system. Grammy voters include tons of industry professionals, engineers, producers, musicians who really appreciate technical excellence in recording, mixing, and mastering. These people can hear the difference between a good recording and a great one. If the ARIRANG track showcases the level of production quality that Diplo is famous for, combined with what we know as Jimin's exceptional vocal ability, the technical merits alone could make it a strong Grammy contender. Sometimes people forget that Grammy voting isn't just about what's popular, it's also about recognizing technical and artistic excellence. Now, let's talk about the BTS Army for a second, because we cannot have this conversation without acknowledging one of the most powerful fan bases in the world. The Army has proven time and time again their ability to mobilize for their artists. They break streaming records. They get songs to #1. They trend hashtags worldwide within minutes. They organize and execute campaigns with military precision, which is actually kind of funny given the name. If Diplo and Jimin deliver a Grammy-worthy track, and the Army gets behind it with their full force, that combination of artistic merit plus passionate grassroots support is incredibly powerful. Now, Grammy voting is supposed to be based purely on artistic merit, and voters are music industry professionals. But let's be real, cultural impact and visibility matter. If this song is everywhere, if everyone is talking about it, if it's dominating every metric, that creates an environment where Grammy voters almost have to pay attention. Here's something that I think is really important to understand about Diplo's prediction. He's not some random person making bold claims for attention. This is a man who has been in Grammy rooms. He sat with Grammy voters. He's been part of Grammy campaigns. He knows exactly what it takes to win one because he's done it 3 times. When he says Jimin's track could win a Grammy, he's not speaking hypothetically or hopefully. He's making an informed prediction based on his extensive experience in the industry. He knows what Grammy-winning music sounds like, feels like, and impacts like. And apparently, he's hearing and feeling all of that in what he and Jimin have created together. Let's also consider the narrative aspect, because Grammy wins often involve compelling stories. The narrative of Jimin, a member of the biggest group in the world, stepping out with a bold solo statement that redefines expectations and bridges cultural divides is exactly the kind of story that can capture voters' imagination. Add in the angle of East-West musical fusion, executed at the highest level by 2 artists at the peak of their powers, and you have a narrative that writes itself. Grammy voters are human beings, and human beings respond to stories. If Jimin's track comes with a powerful story of artistic growth, cultural bridge building, and creative excellence, that narrative could be just as important as the music itself. One thing that Diplo mentioned that really caught my attention was his comment about Jimin's vocals shocking everyone. Now, anyone who knows Jimin knows the man can sing. His vocal ability is not in question. But for Diplo to specifically call out that Jimin's vocals on this track will shock people suggests that Jimin is doing something vocally that we haven't heard from him before. Maybe it's a different range, a different technique, a different emotional quality. Whatever it is, it's clearly something that impressed Diplo enough to comment on it specifically. Vocal performance is one of the key factors Grammy voters consider, especially in categories like Best Pop Solo Performance. If Jimin delivers a vocal performance that's truly stunning and showcases abilities people didn't know he had, that could be a game changer. There's also been speculation about whether there might be additional featured artists on this track. Diplo has been mysterious about certain details, and some fans have theorized that there could be a surprise collaboration with a Western artist that hasn't been announced yet. If that's true, it could further boost the track's Grammy chances by bringing in additional fan bases and creating even more industry buzz. Collaborations between K-pop and Western artists have been increasingly successful, and Grammy voters have shown they appreciate meaningful musical partnerships that bring together different artistic worlds. Let me take a step back and talk about why this whole situation is so significant beyond just one potential Grammy win. If Jimin's track does what Diplo believes it will do, if it dominates charts, gets massive radio play in the US, becomes a cultural phenomenon, and ultimately wins a Grammy, it would represent a watershed moment for K-pop and for global music in general. It would prove definitively that K-pop artists can compete and win in the Western music industry's biggest arena on purely artistic merit. It would open doors for other K-pop artists and Asian artists in general. It would force the industry to reckon with the truly global nature of music in the streaming era. The impact would ripple far beyond just Jimin and BTS. Diplo has also hinted that the production on this track includes some really interesting sonic elements. He mentioned blending electronic production with live orchestra, which immediately makes me think of some of the most acclaimed pop productions of recent years. That combination of organic and electronic sounds, when done right, creates this rich, layered sonic landscape that sounds both timeless and contemporary. It's the kind of production that appeals to both radio programmers who want something current and Grammy voters who appreciate artistic ambition and musical sophistication. If Diplo has successfully executed that vision with Jimin's artistry at the center, you're looking at something really special. The question everyone keeps asking is, what does this track actually sound like? Diplo has been so mysterious about it, dropping hints but never really revealing the full picture. He's described it as experimental, as unlike anything Jimin has done before, as featuring unexpected elements. Some fans are speculating it might incorporate traditional Korean instruments or musical elements, given the ARIRANG album concept. Others think it might be a completely modern, forward-looking sound that happens to be part of an album with traditional themes. The truth is, we don't know, and that mystery is building anticipation to absolutely fever-pitch levels. Here's what we do know for certain. Diplo is one of the most successful and respected producers in modern music. He has no reason to make bold predictions that could backfire on him if they don't come true. His reputation is built on delivering hits and recognizing quality. Jimin has already proven himself as a solo artist with the success of Face and Muse, showing he can create music that resonates globally. The combination of these two artists, working together intensively over weeks with a shared commitment to perfection, has produced something that has Diplo confident enough to predict Grammy success. That's not nothing. That's actually really significant. I also want to talk about what this means for Jimin personally. He's already achieved so much as part of BTS, breaking records that seemed impossible, performing for millions of people around the world, creating cultural impact that extends far beyond music. But a Grammy win as a solo artist would be different. It would be recognition of his individual artistry, separate from the group. It would cement his legacy as not just a member of a successful group, but as an artist in his own right, who creates work worthy of the highest recognition in music. That's meaningful, and you can bet that Jimin put everything he has into this track, knowing what it could represent. The timing of this whole thing is also interesting when you consider BTS's comeback. The group is returning from their military service, the anticipation is enormous, and the ARIRANG album is their first group project in years. For Jimin to potentially have a Grammy-winning solo track on that album would add another incredible layer to an already historic moment. It would show that the members didn't just maintain their skills during the break, they elevated their artistry to new levels. It would make the comeback even more impactful and significant. Let me address something that I'm sure some people are thinking. Is Diplo just hyping his work? Could this be promotional talk that doesn't match reality? Here's the thing, promotional hype usually sounds different. It's vague superlatives without substance. But Diplo has been specific in his praise. He's talked about Jimin's work ethic, the number of times lyrics were rewritten, the late-night sessions, the technical details, the emotional impact. Those specifics suggest he's speaking from genuine experience and belief rather than just trying to generate buzz. Plus, again, this is a 3-time Grammy winner. His credibility is on the line with these predictions. He's not going to risk his reputation by overhyping something unless he genuinely believes in it. The commercial predictions Diplo has made are also worth examining. He suggested this track will dominate US radio stations, which is actually the biggest challenge for K-pop music. US radio has been notoriously difficult for K-pop to penetrate, even for BTS. So for Diplo to predict radio dominance suggests he's created something that fits the current radio format and sound while still being innovative and true to Jimin's artistry. That balance is incredibly difficult to achieve, but if anyone can do it, it's Diplo. He understands American radio better than almost anyone in the business. There's also Diplo's comment about making Jimin a household name in America. That's a bold statement. BTS, as a group, is well known in America, but individual member recognition is different. For Jimin to become a household name as a solo artist would require massive mainstream breakthrough success. Diplo clearly believes this track can achieve that, which again speaks to his confidence in what they've created. You don't make predictions like that unless you really believe you have something special. As we get closer to the March release date for the ARIRANG album, the anticipation is building to incredible levels. Fans are analyzing every hint, every cryptic comment, every piece of information they can find about this collaboration. The music industry is watching closely because they know Diplo doesn't make empty predictions. And Jimin is preparing to show the world yet another dimension of his artistry. Whether or not this track actually wins a Grammy, we won't know until next year's ceremony. But the fact that we're even having this conversation, that a producer of Diplo's caliber is making this prediction, tells us something really important is about to happen. In conclusion, Diplo's Grammy prediction for Jimin's ARIRANG track isn't just hype or promotional talk. It's an informed assessment from one of music's most successful and respected producers. It's based on weeks of intensive collaboration with an artist he clearly respects enormously. It's grounded in the reality of what makes Grammy-winning music and his experience creating it multiple times. Whether this track actually wins a Grammy will depend on many factors, some artistic and some political. But one thing is certain, Jimin and Diplo have created something that has one of the industry's best at making predictions excited enough to go on record with a bold claim. And that means we're all about to hear something really, really special. Make sure you're subscribed because when this track drops, we're going to break down every single detail right here on this channel. Until then, keep streaming, keep supporting, and get ready for what might be one of the biggest moments in K-pop history.